Okay, so as we said, ball position was certainly creeping a bit too far forward. You've moved it back there, you can see on this one on the right-hand side. This one here on the left is where you sort of put the ball way away from the club, and that all that did was it just made your shoulders square up. What you had in the past when the ball was kind of outside your front foot, to get the golf club to get to the golf ball, you'd have to turn and twist your body. Well, that's going to cause your shoulders to aim left to start with and get you quite steep in terms of the swing. So all you're going to get now is the club swinging in this direction with that tension you had in the arms and the club face now aiming out to the right here. That's the shot you're going to get. Basically all you can really do. And every now and then when you put the club back here, it might have worked, but as we saw in this case, to try and reach that golf ball, you'll see as you go to the top of the backswing, shoulder turn is all right, to be fair. You get to here fine, but as you start coming back to the golf ball, what we want to try and do is slow that right side down, let the arms fall. What you end up doing is throwing your arms out here. So at this point, that club is very, very steep. Yeah, you kind of got here, you're kind of throwing it out to where that ball is, and then coming into impact. You can see here, even before impact, your shoulders are aiming left and this right shoulder is quite high and the club's back here. So when it gets to the golf ball, yeah, I mean, that's impact. I mean, your shoulders are probably aiming over here somewhere, a good 30, 40-ish plus degrees to the left. So that's the direction your club's going to swing on. That's going to cause you to hit the shape of shot that you were hitting there, okay? So the feeling is, as I say, nice and loose in that grip pressure. We're going to turn the right side away nice, okay? So we're getting a good shoulder turn. The feeling is that this shoulder up here and this hip are going to sort of stay fairly quiet and let the club just fall down here. So we get here now and let the club almost fall and feel as though those wrists are unhinging to square that club face up. And when you do that, the club can come back a lot less open. Now, we can still see that same impact, that right shoulder sort of looking over your cheek there quite high. That's just your instinct to hit a golf ball with a driver, yeah? With irons, when they're on the ground, it's all right, you can play it, yeah? This is why your iron game is pretty solid, to be fair. I mean, your 7 irons at the start were very, very good. And if we look at the sort of dispersion of those, I think about 12 7 irons, maybe 13 7 irons, apart from one, they were all cut in a very, very small shape or size, small enough to hit the green. Then you look at the 20 drivers you've hit, you've got 10 short, 3 or 4 long, some to the right, some to the left. There's a big spread. So we've got to get you feeling or learning that feeling of a club face hitting the golf ball and sending the ball with right to left. Which you've had a couple of, yeah? And as you said yourself, it felt as though you'd almost released the club from up here, the old kind of casting feeling. But in reality, when we talk about what real and feel are, if you were casting the ball, you would be hitting it way left, yeah? Because you're releasing that club in that same path, or very, very high left, which you haven't done either of, to be fair. So the feeling of kind of unhinging, you can see here now as you're swinging the golf club back down, it's still a little bit on the steeper side. The club at this point now is a little bit shallower because we're sort of allowing that club to kind of unhinge and release as the arms fall. But it's getting that sensation when you come into the golf ball, that club face is square. So at least this one now, as I said, it was a playable shot. Started left, ended up kind of on the white line, I think up to about 173, 174, which again, I know is not your ideal yet. We've had a couple of ones where 190 was the best one. So it shows physically, you could hit the ball 200 yards, more than capably. But it's requiring that efficiency with the club to get that information to the golf ball to do that, yeah? I mean, you could stand and you could possibly get 230, 225, yeah? It's physically doable, but the club has to be coming in with the right information to the golf. If it's coming across the ball and slicing it, it's almost like you're hitting a slower ball or a drop shot, yeah? You're putting the same amount of effort into the shot, trying to, in theory, confuse the batsman, yeah? But the ball is coming out weaker and slower. So for you, it's hitting plenty of shots, getting that feeling of that club face, unhinging. And I think from a sort of feeling perspective, just doing as many shots in here on the sim, getting that left spin, okay? Understanding when you've got that 2-horse race, as we said, between your club and I suppose your arms and your hands there, okay? That club's got to get back to the golf ball, in theory, is a feeling to you before the hands. If the hands are too far this way towards target, because you kind of pulled them, club's not a chance, mate. You come back to the golf ball there now. Even that swing there now, when you went back, there was still a sort of fanning sensation, okay? So as you go back, feel the club face. Look at the club face there's a bit more to the ground. So just when you watch that club going round, just make sure it's more to the ground. What you sometimes do is you do that, and look at the club face now, that's wide open. For that club now, you have to do a lot of that twisting, okay? So it goes back, feel it a little bit more this way. So we unhinge it, just coming back to the golf ball that way. A bit more face down on the way back. Have a couple of swings on the mat there with that feeling there, okay? Just to get that club swinging back. So if I pop on here just to remind you, when your golf club is around about in this position, which I just paused on the video, we don't want the club face, which I guess is going to be out of the screen, pointing up to the sky. You want the sensation. If you go back there again to that sort of halfway back, a bit more with the club face that. And as you keep turning that way, yeah, so the club's going that way, what you tend to do is roll the arms. And that movement there, now open the club face. If we come back there to the golf ball, that's what you're doing in the backswing, yeah? So as the club goes back, it's a bit more down to the ground, not face of the golf club here, Mike, up to the sky, okay? So don't want to try and give too many to think about, but just to be aware of that, because if you're doing that on the way back, all the good work on the way down is going to be completely negated by a face is open anyway, so, okay?